K.T.E. Put it together, and what do you get? A wrestling podcast unlike any other. Hello, and if it's your first time joining us, this is the big time. I'm on the way, I'm making it. WrestleMania Entrances Edition. Topic questions that we throw at you. This week, it's WrestleMania Entrances. Let's get right into it. Connor, thoughts and feelings over all-time favorite WrestleMania entrances. And I'll extend this as well. If you want to talk about favorite WrestleMania theme songs, you can add that in too.
Okay. Man, I think one of my all-time favorite Mania entrances, and are we talking about Superstar entrances?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Superstar entrances at Mania.
Okay, that's what I thought, because entrances, we could also do it to where your favorite WrestleMania look, like your favorite men's WrestleMania stage.
That would probably
Like
be its
entrance
own
way, I guess we could say. But okay.
That would probably be its own separate topic.
Dude, one of my all-time favorites is Cena of 23, driving the Ford Mustang into Ford Field, bashing through the glass, and then his music hit. It's like, one, we kind of figured it was going to be Cena because it was the main event.
Yeah.
Shawn had already come out, whatever. But that was kind of one of the coolest ones. But I think one of my other favorites is probably Triple H of 25.
Yeah?
When he's looking at the mirror and he breaks the mirror. It's like that one, man, it's because that rivalry with Randy, it was so hardcore that it was like, oh, Triple H is like, I'm going to look in the mirror. I'm going to tell myself, get the fuck over it, and let's go. Like, just bash through that glass. But, man, there's so many good ones. Even the traditional early ones where they had to carry Andre the Giant's big butt on their shoulder, you know? And those were kind of cool. But, obviously, again, Cena's got another one of 25. You know, all the Cena's doing that. And you got Cena of 22. So, Cena's got most of them, but
25 had a lot of good entrances because that was also the Heaven and Hell entrances for The Undertaker and Shawn Michaels.
Yeah, and that, like, one of the best rivalries ever. So, dude, like, I know I'm saying a lot of John Cena, but John Cena's got some pretty epic entrances, and most of them. I think one of my favorite entrances in general was, I think it was Judgment Day 2005 against JBL. First, or the I Quit match, when John Cena came out on the semi, I think. That was probably one of my all-time favorites, just in general. But WrestleMania-wise, man, it's hard to pick just one. So I'm going a lot of John Cena. Triple H has some good ones.
That's who I was going to throw up. Triple H has had some epic.
Yeah. The third WrestleMania 30 was a pretty solid one. But I think, let's talk about one that kind of faltered a little bit, but Batista coming back at WrestleMania 35.
Yeah.
And he almost falls out of the car. And then he falls in the ring. It's like, okay, come on, Dave. Like, we know you've been out of the game for a couple years, but
that's why he had to retire after that match.
Well, he had to retire in general because, you know, he needed what he wanted. Yeah. But
give me what I want. Give me what I want.
I don't know, man. I'm going a lot of John Cena, man, because most of his entrances are pretty solid. I don't really think he's had a bad entrance. When he brought back the Thugonomics of WrestleMania 35 was pretty solid, but yeah, man, those are pretty solid. I'm going a lot of John Cena today, but
no, WrestleMania entrances are always pretty crazy. When you get a superstar at WrestleMania, they have to be presented like they're a big deal. Not everybody's WrestleMania entrance is crazy or over the top. Some people just have their normal entrances simply because they're not stars or they're not in one of the big matches. But then you got special times. Like in 2015, you had Rusev coming in on a tank.
Yeah, I did enjoy that one.
I love the fact that he came out with a tank during that.
And he had the Russian flag with him.
Yeah.
Because, you know, he was Russia and John Cena was the United States. So.
And that was for the U.S. Championship. Yeah. But I found it funny because apparently him and Lana made love in that tank. Which, I mean, wouldn't you?
Hey man, if I could make love with my fiance in a tank, I would.
Yeah.
But I feel like you'd mess up and like while you'd hit a button and shoot off something, and then like something's not going right. Um,
That was I think the best entrance of the night because it was an outdoor WrestleMania, and the outdoor WrestleMania with people like Bray Wyatt and The Undertaker, you really didn't get an epic entrance
well,
like
and
that. And Triple H's Terminator entrance
it
wasn't all that
it
cool.
was also in San Francisco.
Mhm.
San Francisco doesn't go dark till midnight. It
Right.
seems like so. It's like even when Seth Rollins cashed in, man, it was still kind of bright outside. Because like if you look at when Rollins is doing this with the title, you could still see kind of daylight outside of the stadium. So it's like it's hard to do any. It's kind of it's hard to do any Undertaker Bray Wyatt entrance like you said outdoors in the bright.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
But I mean, to parlay that into Triple H's WrestleMania entrances, whether you talk about 30 and the craziness that happened there, or 28 and the craziness that happened there, or you could extend back way farther for all of his WrestleMania entrances.
yeah,
And I think 32 as well, going past the point of number 30. 31 was there, but 32, it was Stephanie saying out to the crowd as if this was his doomed kingdom.
yeah.
That was a pretty cool notion, and all the guys that comes out with skulls. That was pretty cool. Seth Rollins has taken a little bit of that from Triple H since he's storyline protege.
Yeah.
He's taken that cool entrance because Seth Rollins, in of himself, has a cool entrance.
Mm-hmm.
And he's super flamboyant when he comes out with his items. You add WrestleMania to that flair. I think of like the Torch one. I think of
Yeah.
all his Game of Thrones stuff and the crazy jackets that he's had,
Mm-hmm.
and not even to mention the set designs.
Yeah. And it's just going back to like I mean even okay Stings. Stings is supposed to be a dark kind of character, and you have Sting wrestle at one of the hottest states in the world in the country, and it's bright as heck outside, and his theme song's supposed to like have flashing lights and all that, and you can't do that
Right.
when it's bright as crap outside. But yeah, I think Seth is pretty cool. I think Bray, the Fiend coming back when the Fiend came out and
Oh yeah, with
that when the
the
Jack in the Box,
jukebox.
oh
Yeah.
that was probably one of my favorite ones. Um,
That was such. You're right. You're right. That was such an epic entrance. It's just a shame that the match was complete garbage.
and it was a shame that Randy had to win because I'm sorry, I
Yeah.
like Randy, but
He did not need to win
no,
that
he
match.
didn't even need to beat Bray at WrestleMania 32. No, Bray Wyatt or 33. Bray Wyatt needed to win that WrestleMania match. And okay, yeah, it's set up for an unexpected championship run from Jinder.
As far as cool entrances at Mania go, with what we're talking about, the Jack in the Box Fiend.
Yeah, the Fiend Jack in the Box, man. That whole rivalry with Randy was pretty cool. Getting lit on fire, even obviously it was a mannequin just laying there and the Fiend stuff. So that was pretty cool. But it was kind of cool to see the big old Jack in the Box, and it was like, wasn't it all red because of the lights?
Yes,
It was just
yeah.
all red, and she's doing this, and he comes up. It's like, oh, that. The Fiend was one of my favorite characters too.
Oh
But
man, I know it's kind
um,
of divergent off the topic, but you weren't here when we talked about WrestleMania entrances for the for WrestleMania. Not sorry, not WrestleMania, but for regular entrances, regular
Right.
theme songs. Um, so let's talk a little bit about the Fiend because I mentioned on that episode about your initial reaction to the Fiend's debut and how we interacted because of that.
Dude, at first I wasn't sure what the hell was going on with Bray Wyatt with the whole, hey guys, it's the Fun House. It's like, okay, this is kind of weird. And then you see the mask. You're like, that's awesome. And then the lights are going like this and moving. It's like, nails on a chalkboard, man. And when you get Bray Wyatt and the Fiend, like that scared the crap out of certain people. And it's like
Mm-hmm.
at first it kind of hit me. I was like, that's kind of weird, but like kind of scary. But I think it worked, man. I love the Fiend. That was one of my favorite characters. He's got a little Funko Pop on
Yeah.
the.
I'm gonna break the fourth wall here for the first time in the KTE
He's got a little
podcast.
Funko Pop over here, and I'm looking at, and it's like just reminding me of of Bray and um like that's the one of the greatest character changes you can have. And when he got released, it kind of made no sense why he got released. But then they bring him back, and he has his match with L.A. Knight,
Mm.
and then obviously a couple weeks later, it just whatever. But that character was one of the greatest moves WWE's made in recent times.
Mm-hmm.
Because we haven't had a character like that in such a long time. Yeah, The Undertaker back in the 90s was a pretty dark character, but then obviously anytime you hear the gong, you're like, oh shit, Undertaker's showing up.
Mm-hmm.
But Taker's also done the American Badass stuff where he comes out and he's just a normal person. It's like, I don't like that Taker. I like the other Taker kind of thing. But the Fiend, man, that was a once in a lifetime character.
Yeah.
Um, could they somehow bring them back into an aspect? Probably, but should they? Absolutely not. You should leave the Fiend the way it is. Yeah, they were doing the Uncle Howdy stuff. I don't know what's going on with the Wyatt Six,
Mm-hmm.
um, but
But his first initial entrance was crazy,
yeah,
and then that just lent itself to a WrestleMania entrance that was,
that was out of this world.
and that was 2 years after he debuted in 21. The year before that, we talk about Firefly Funhouse entrances.
Yeah,
That in of itself was a
yeah,
crazy cinematic experience.
yeah. Because again, it's Bray Wyatt wearing a sweater vest and he's all cheery and happy. You're like, I don't really know how I feel about all this, uh, but yeah, going back to WrestleMania entrances, man, the Fiend one will always stand out just because it's a big old Jack in the Box and he rises from that. It's like, oh, that's awesome. That's so awesome. But
And not every WrestleMania entrance is like that, where
no,
it's over the top. It may just be a wrestler comes in with his normal theme song, but has special attire
yeah.
or special fireworks
Or
for that
you
night.
or you have Randy Orton with the guy that sang his song, like his theme song come out. Like that one's
Right.
pretty cool.
Right.
Cuz you actually hear the guy's voice and he's obviously the music is when you hear a band in concert compared to on the radio, it's different.
Mm-hmm.
That sounded word for word just obviously it's the same guy, but it sounded just like the theme song when he was doing it live. So it's like it's hard to do that too.
And that's a little bit of what Elijah and I talked about last week.
Because it's like Motorhead coming out singing Triple H. It's like
Mm-hmm.
that sounded kind of bad at WrestleMania 21 or WrestleMania whatever other WrestleMania they've come out and sang for Triple H. But then you hear Triple H songs like, oh, that sounds good. But they're like, it's like, what? It's like, oh my god.
Yeah, there's sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, but the fact that you have the band live
Yeah.
at WrestleMania playing is in of itself pretty cool. They've done that at WrestleMania, they've done that at NXT's Stand and Delivers their WrestleMania. It's pretty cool when you get a character who can have the real band come in and sing.
Rhea did it,
Right,
and
yeah.
that was pretty good. And
It just shows that, and not to diverge too far, but it just shows that WWE, when they put a little more care into having genuine artists sing their songs, that's when their characters showed forth a little more. It wasn't just generic song number 3.
yeah, but man, there's going back in history, man. There's so many others you could talk about, but I'm more of a modern WWE guy, anyways. I'm not. I'm a fan of the old stuff because it's the history. It starts everything that we love.
Mm.
But I'm more of a obviously I've only watched since 2006, 2007, but I'm more of that time period. I'm more of a 2000 to now kind of guy. Anything before 2000s, there's pretty cool. It's obviously it's nostalgic, but
Well, and it's hard too because when you're talking about those eras,
mhm.
anything that's let's say prior to '96,
Yeah.
it's tough because it's not as relevant right now.
Yeah.
As much as we enjoy and appreciate the nostalgia and the retrospective, that's why Saturday Night Main Event was so cool to see
Yeah.
because that was an '80s themed
Mhm.
wrestling show before Raw even existed.
Mhm.
But it's a lot harder to stay current and relevant in most people's eyes when you talk about things that are prior
Right.
to, let's say, the Attitude Era.
Mhm.
Not that we don't appreciate that, but on an everyday level, when you're talking about it, most people are going to want to talk about Stone Cold
Mhm.
over, say, even someone like the Ultimate Warrior.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with the Ultimate Warrior. Cool character, great. Went to my dad's high school, believe it or not. Fun fact for K.T.E.
Wow.
Went to my dad's high school.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. He was a scrawny guy.
He ain't scrawny now.
No, no.
But
But yeah, in that sense. And then so a lot of what we might draw from experience will be the knowledge that we have armed with in our
mhm.
current, and that's the past 25 years, pretty
Yeah.
much 2000 onward.
Yep.
Not to say that Connor and I aren't aware
Yeah.
of older.
Oh, absolutely, man. You had the Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty tag
Mm,
team. Like that's a nostalgic tag team, but obviously it's not talked about as much. But it's one of those tag teams. You just that's what kickstarted Shawn Michaels, and obviously you had Stone Cold and wins King of the Ring and goes, oh, I'm
mm-hmm.
Stone Cold, and Austin 316 said it just kicked your ass. It's like okay, that's cool and nostalgic. But I'm like I said, I'm more of a modern 2000 to now kind of guy. But
And there's been a lot of great moments here within the past 25 years, and that extends in of itself to WrestleMania entrances.
yep,
Just within the past 25 years, graphics, stage display has advanced so much that we can get awesome spectations.
yeah,
And I think of somebody who her theme doesn't change all that much, but I think of somebody like Charlotte Flair. Each and every year, she has such an elaborate costume, and her fireworks get even crazier
yeah.
year on year when she comes out.
Yeah, and I'm kind of excited to see one. I'm a stage guy. I love seeing the new stages. I'm
Hmm.
excited to see what they're gonna do with the stage at Mania. I'm kind of hoping they do some sort of slot machine thing,
Oh.
um, but I don't know. It's gonna be interesting to see. But we
Yeah.
could even ask that question. What's your favorite WrestleMania stage of all time?
I, I think that'll be an episode that we should talk about next
Yeah.
time. I think I like that.
Cause yeah, there's so many unique stadiums, and I'm not gonna spoil which one's my favorite, but
No, that's why it's so depressing event on event that their stages look so similar.
yeah,
When WWE used to have a unique
every
outlook
pay per
for
view.
every single
Yeah,
pay-per-view.
even the Raw and SmackDown sets look better than they do now. I
Hmm.
mean, come on, you can't ever forget the Fist. I mean,
Right.
that's a nostalgic set right there.
And Elijah and I on the ECW podcast right now, we're talking about ECW and the first initial shows. They had the stage off to the side, and
Yeah,
it was a brick.
yeah, it's that ECW on it. Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember. And then they went to HD, and
Yeah.
then they moved it to the middle, which still looked good. And then because it was like the little TV screen, and then the ECW, and then
Hmm.
the entranceway that was like this, but then it went HD with WWE.
Yeah.
But
But hey, we'll cap it there. We're talking about WrestleMania entrances this week. Let us know some of your favorites of the years. We've kind of glossed over a little bit. We just talked generally about our favorites and some that we made note.
mhm,
But if you've got some that you love and maybe some that we missed, let us know.
mhm.
And as far as next week goes, Connor presented it, and we will definitely tackle it. Best WrestleMania stages. There's plenty of good ones, plenty of crazy ones,
Mhm.
crazy designs that I am super excited to talk about, and we'll,
Oh yeah,
we'll try our best not to go too long.
yeah.
on that one. But when you get Konner and I together, the time just flies by.
It flies by, and there's a lot to talk about with us.
So until then, this has been the K.T.E. Wrestling Podcast.